and I think it gave me a little bit of highlight of them, that we would go out. They were more party friends, and one of them, I thought she was very mature. At least that was the perception she gave, and I came after her with a business idea. And that's why you touched the nerve when you said, because the business idea is all you think outside the box, and but it's stifled here. I came at her with, hey, you do this, I do that. Let's see when we can get together. And she was like, sure. And she dodged me for like 2 weeks on trying to even set up a meeting. And then it was like 3 months later, she was like, oh, I'm just not ready to do anything else. And in my head, I was saying, well, you should have just said that. But what I noticed about her was that when I started talking to her about business, when she saw how I lived, when she saw how I dressed, she was feeling like how I was feeling with this friend I had in Florida, and it was showing on her sleeve. And she had a group of other friends in which they were all crabs in a bucket. They were all financially struggling, but none of them could give the other person good advice on how not to struggle. And then when I would give good advice, they would feel away about it. So I knew that wasn't my tribe. And that wasn't the first time in New England I've had that experience. I met many women who they say they want business. Angie's been the first person to be like, what you mean? Let's get at it. But I met many women who I wanted to be friends with, and they felt a way about me because I'm the person that I say Monday, Tuesday I'm at it. Because I'm all about execution. And I said to myself, well, I'm trying to make friends, but then I had to realize in New England, because they are cliquey, because they grew up together, because wearing the same color clothes is all good. If you come in with black and I come in with hot pink, then I'm the standout, and I don't mind standing out. And that's gonna make you feel uncomfortable. So friends have been hard here.
And again, coming from a place of understanding, I think it's when you've been beat down, and I think for possibly for these women too, that they're, in our age bracket,
they were in our age bracket.
They've had ideas and things that it's just not really a cultivating of innovation and ideas in the social groups to me here.
But it's the social groups that they're choosing, Angie.
I don't know. I don't know if they're, and I haven't been exposed to the groups that are actually doing things, not charging, and the money that they're making.
They just keep to themselves.
Is what they're charging you to impart nothing.
Right. And I've been there at these events too. Facts.
Well, that's the thing. So you'll have these groups that are making moves, but really, it's not making
moves.
It's just social,
it's social.
And I'm about product. I'm about seeing productivity. I'm about, like if you're saying this is what the value is that you're gonna add, if I'm not seeing that, I'm going to move forward. Hence why I've been married twice.
I have to. Engaged 6 times, though. 4 times.
I've been engaged 6 times. But, and those are a whole show.
And we gonna get there, yeah.
Because that, how you said, even in your 30s, you really didn't know yourself.
Yeah.
And,
facts.
And, the men that I married are good men, good fathers to my children. But I didn't know myself.
Were they your friends?
They weren't friends. No, they weren't friends. They weren't friends because I think they were also trying to figure themselves out. And I will tell you that really, that homeless situation was pivotal in grounding me in who I am. It showed me, one, that you do need this sense of like really self-sufficiency, but not even questioning yourself too, because at the end of the day, really got yourself. And I'm not promoting individualism because I do also believe you need a tribe.
Oh yeah.
But in order for you to get the right tribe, you have to be grounded in who you are and to know yourself and do a lot of self-acceptance and a lot of self-mastery, which is a continuous thing. So, you know what I mean?
I do. Completely.
So it's these friendships. They're difficult because our next words, wounded warriors. And I do feel that there is a lot of woundedness in me. Again, I'm just thinking, of things that impact human behavior. And, I always say, I want to move to Florida. One, I'm a beach girl. I'm a sun girl. I love the warm weather. And, I want to plant some mango trees and have, fruits and things that's growing, that's familiar to me, being an island girl. But people are like, they're so racist there and the politics or whatever. But to me, the politics and the racism and the biasness is worse here. And it's worse here because it is not overt. And Florida, the southern state, you know where you stand.
Yeah, you know where you stand. That's a fact.
It doesn't become a psychological warfare.
And here, they try to make it that way.
And that's what it is. Because of the covertness, like you said, if we go back to what we were talking about, how unbelievable it is about...
how do I have 20 years of technology experience and you won't give me an interview in New England? What you mean, right?
Yeah.
And I know it's because of my skin. I don't got nothing to do with my credentials, right?
Yeah. So, that leads to a lot of wounded warriors and woundedness. And let's go back to, I'm a little thirsty. I'm a little thirsty right now. Haven't had, I've been on a couple of dates, but nothing of substance or whatever the case is.
Absolutely.
And what I want to say, since, girl, I haven't gotten any action since, when was that? April? And we are now in August?
I don't even say my year.
No, because I've been there.
Yeah, you know.
I'm just trying not to go back on a 9-year cycle.
Right.
Let's just put it like
I'm
that.
trying to break my 7 year. Go ahead.
And the older women that I've been coming across, I'm trying to take heed to it. They've been saying to me, I see you pouring so much into your children. You're doing, but you should try and establish a relationship for yourself, pour something into you and finding a partnership. Because as you get older, those are the things that matter.
That's
and
true.
These are very, successful women who are very smart or whatever the case is. So what I've been finding though is that I've been coming across a lot of wounded warriors.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about it.
So I think in our age bracket, I'm 49, you're in your 50s, early 50s.
Yeah.
The suitable partners or men that we are looking for, rightfully so, might be coming out of relationships, long-term relationships, being married or whatever, because they weren't men that were afraid of commitment.
That's right.
Right?
At that point in time.
Right. So, for whatever reason, they may have gone through some things. So now, they're out here. They want, and it's, because I'm not a man, I can't say what they want. But another thing is, they're not really telling you what they want.
They're really not telling you what they want. Let's talk about it. Go ahead. They're not really telling you what they want.
They're not. But what I've felt like they want is they want a object of their boredness. That's what they want. They want you to be an object of their boredness. So when they have downtime, they bored, and rather than dealing with healing themselves, maybe using that time for counseling, using that time for self-reflection, hey.
You never just hit him about it too. You right. Hey, like I'm gonna respond to that. Yeah.
What you doing? Text. I'm sorry, we came from the age of like, hey, how you doing? So
I'm a communicator. She's a communicator.
It's just and I think like they expect you to do a whole lot of emotional lifting. And I know for me as a person where I do feel it is a strength of mine to allow people to be themselves in my presence.
Yeah, I agree.
That they automatically feel comfortable. Hence why I think, the proposals that I've had and whatever the case was. And for me, getting into those relationships because I didn't focus on alignment. And more so emotional alignment, which is huge because if you're not emotionally aligned and in tune with a person, the relationship will not work.
No, not at all.
Because you're going to always be doing the heavy lifting, and that is not fair, especially to people who haven't faced their emotional wounds. And I feel like what we're coming across, maybe they've had hiccups in their careers. Maybe they, because I do believe that men who are men that go into relationships and want committed relationships, I do believe those men want it for a lifetime. You know what I mean?
I do.
So they're hugely disappointed when that doesn't work. They feel like failures. A lot of men with mama issues.
Yes.
Especially in the black community, because they grew up with black women.
In New England, I've seen the most here.
Yeah, they grew up with black women who had to haul it all. So emotionally, maybe that woman wasn't nurturing emotionally, because they trying to make shit happen, right? So mama issues. And I don't know. Sometimes I feel like these wounded warriors. Sometimes I feel like I'm in the presence of a man who don't like women. Like they're angry at women. And like they're like, how dare I? Despite and the amount of stuff that I've experienced in life, like I got war stories, but despite that, I'm still hopeful. I'm still willing to give someone a chance. I'm still, I try to fit, I don't believe, and again, it's only maybe some of the men that have had relationships with me, you need to ask them, but I don't feel like I'm jaded. I feel like I don't feel like I'm bitter, but I think sometimes these men who have been wounded, they come across me. It almost becomes like a secret disdain. Girl, I've been doing all the talking. It's your turn.
No, I'm getting there. Wounded warrior, because I feel like every man that I've met here in New England has been a wounded warrior. Mm-hmm. I have had some tragedies.
I'm not.
I'm gonna speak on it. Both of us, me and Angie, have both gone through some very horrific situations in the past, and I even lost a child.
Yeah.
Today's actually the anniversary of my son passing, and I did the work. I took off. I haven't been intimate in 7 years. But I went through a divorce and all that. I'm not the kind of person that's going to go through a divorce and date somebody else. I'm going to go through my divorce. I'm going to go through my healing. I'm going to go through my pain, and then I'm going to learn how to readapt to a new dating society and reopen. And I understand everybody can't take that process. But with that being said, I still, like you said, I'm hopeful. I'm eager, I'm willing, and I'm looking. I'm not going to sit here and play. I'm not looking. I'm looking. Lolly looking.
Me too.
Right? Andy looking. But the men that I have, and Angie makes a good point. Because I'm like, why am I attracted to these? And she's like, it's not like that. You attract everything. I've never even heard that before. You attract everything. It's what you choose. And I think that's a brilliant statement because that's helping me rewire why I'm thinking this way. Now, I am a law of attraction believer, make no mistake of it, but her point has a lot of validity to it as well. So, but the men that I have attracted, and I'm on dating sites with a full profile. I'm talking about, I done told you what I like, I've been divorced, I've been engaged, I won't tell you about my finances, but I'll tell you basically everything. And from my profile as a man who's dating, you're going to clearly see that Lolly's looking for a serious, long-term committed relationship. She doesn't do casual sex, and she wants a man that she can grow old with, and blah, blah, blah. And I attracted a man recently. We don't go on a recent dude. And this dude was a wounded warrior. This guy was a man who had, like we mentioned in our last podcast, he's never dated a woman of color. All his kids are from a Caucasian woman. And then he's dated, of course, all other races except his own. And now he's power to the black people, and he wants to date a black woman. Okay, fine. So first he thought I was right, that part.
She was Filipino.
Yeah, Filipino or some goofy.
They like that.
They love that exotic, right? And I'm like, nah, I'm good as they get.
I'm glad.
I'm gonna let it know, you know. So anyway, this guy had nothing together. He didn't even have his own place. He had a roommate with 3 guys. He was 53 years old. He had advertised himself online as being a romantic and how he likes to do all these good things for his woman and all of that, to find out that he was in transition between jobs. He was living with 3 men.
No, forget in transition. He did not have a job.
He didn't have a job. He portrayed himself as being in transition, though.
He was renting a room.
Had no vehicle in New England.
And had no vehicle.
There was nothing he could bring to the table. And yet,
I don't like that table talk, but
I know, but still, there was nothing. I do like the table talk, and there was nothing he could bring to the table. And he came across as someone, he portrayed himself online to be something different, and then I called him out within a week. Fine, dismissed. But he would be the 6th man I've met. Now, I dated a guy for 3 months. I liked this guy. She jokes about it, but I didn't like him. And I had met him a year and like 5 months before that.
I can't call you because wait till I tell my story.
And he was a wounded warrior. He was another wounded warrior. He had been out of a relationship at that time for 4 years, and he didn't even know why the woman who he was supposed to move in with told him don't move in that day. Mm-hmm. He never inquired about it, but that was another concerning thing for me. But he had lived at home. This dude had lived in lower income housing that his mother, who was 68 years old, got for him.
And working.
And was working 2 jobs. This guy was working 2 jobs and didn't want anything and all that.
Was working.
And she was working. And she was working. She was 68 and she looked elderly. And she was working. He was fine with that. But he was a wounded warrior. He was a guy who had kids who don't speak to him. He was that dude. And so I've met a lot of wounded warriors in New England in which I get the point when you say, I think they actually feel a way about us because here I am. I've had baggage, but I live okay. I drive okay. Mm-hmm. I'm definitely upward thinking and believe in upward mobility. And I'm also about risk, both business-wise and personal-wise. Mm-hmm. And so you meet me and then you say,
well said.
Right?
Well said.
And then you feel, I will make you feel some way if you don't feel confident within yourself. Mm-hmm. I do have a quality set that makes people reflect immediately within a conversation with me, right? And I'm hoping it's not just the aesthetic because I'm an okay looking, right? I'm not Halle Berry, you're saying, right? But at the end of the day, the bottom line is that I've met a lot of wounded warriors who let that wound become their existence.
Yeah.
They wear the wound as a badge.
Yeah.
And then they say, well, this is what it is.
Well, girl, how about that? I mean, I'm thinking, because, you know, if you put your stuff on Front Street, let me put my situationship, whatever it was, on Front Street. So, you know, I had been abstinent
for 9 years.
And then I was like, and then ended up having breast cancer. And the first thought wasn't, oh, my kid, I'm just being real. The first thought was like, I'm a doctor.
That's honest, too.
That was the first thought.
Right.
So I put myself back on the dating streets and was like, okay, or whatever. I came across somebody. I'm not even gonna go through that situation because that was just weird. You know, it was just this weird. Person was like,
he was a wounded warrior.
Oh, definitely, right. Definitely, because based on his situation, he told me he was in the midst of possibly castration.
That's extreme.
Yes, that's how wounded he was. And I didn't get the details but he was just so done. He went to Jamaica and was planning to get castrated. That's how, like, didn't want shit to do with women. But then, you know, very religious, this person felt like situations happen. And then, so he decided to help someone with their papers. So,
right. That part.
But even just hearing it better. But remember, this was 9 years, y'all. You know? So anyways, that whole situation, it lasted about like 3 months too, where with the communication and stuff, person is very strong, spiritual, you know, whatever. But
and you had a different connection too. Right, this is the one where the connection was so strong, right?
Yeah.
There was definitely soulmate energy in place.
Yeah, there was soulmate energy in place. But within those 9 years of taking time off, I became very grounded in who I was. That I wasn't going to choose anybody over me. And I think too, facing a near-death experience kind of make you want to live life differently. I mean, it should, right? And so before I did everything for everyone else, I am an empath, you know, very sensitive, intuitive, which I used to think that was something wrong, but actually it's my superpowers now.
Absolutely, I agree.
But
totally agree.
I decided I'm not going to choose anyone over me, no matter what the connection would be. And if something, I didn't wait that long to make compromises in what I was going to get. But the other situation that I really want to talk about is the brother who I knew was a wounded warrior. And fellas, let me just say this. A lot of times females know what the deal is and what is really going on.
We really do.
But she might just willing to compromise at the moment.
She might be willing to compromise at the moment. Absolutely.
And so this brother had contacted me. I had met him before the pandemic. But, you know, I met him before the pandemic. Right off the bat, because I was in my that was in my whole celibacy era, and I was, to be honest, I kind of felt I was a wounded warrior. I kind of was like, men, whatever, I'm good. I'll just focus on raising my children. And so when I met him, he actually was the first person I ever met after I had traveled to Kenya in like 2018, went to the prayer mountain. And pooping at home, like no water in the bed, like in a hole praying. And I remember trying to get to it. I was trying to get to this place of freedom in life.
Yeah.
And I remember praying, I prayed about many things, but I remember praying about relations specifically because I was like, I don't have a problem meeting men.
Right.
And at the time, I didn't understand it was about choosing who you choose to. And, but I was like, I didn't have a problem meeting men. So at the time when I made this prayer, I was like, well, make me invisible. I literally prayed that.
You said that. You did.
Make me invisible to men and only make me visible to someone who is a good match. Only make me invisible to men who are going to be potentially good matches. And so when I met this guy, he was the first person that I met after that prayer. And there was something about him that just, and I don't know if it was a familiar spirit, but there was something about him that gave me comfort when I met him. And I met him in like KFC. My daughter loves their hot sauce, and we were getting her something, and I met him there. He was supposedly picking up food for a family gathering. However, I met him, that was in like 2019. But we went for a couple of walks. I love me some walks. I am that girl, like, cause I need to know if we are aligned and if I'm feeling you.
Yeah.
So I'm not above our first meeting being a walk in the park somewhere. I'm not above it. And so I find out that he's from the continent of Africa, which at the time I was mad. Like, I'm avoiding motherfuckers. Oops, excuse my language. I'm avoiding.
Keep in mind, wait, I just want to, wait a minute. 9 years, met a dude from Africa. Continue.
That's the joke. So I'm like, so I go off and I tell him, because at the time, what I wanted was, I knew I wanted companionship, and I was coming from a place of woundedness.
Right.
But
because we're wounded warriors.
But I didn't think that it was possible that healthy love, where there's true partnership, where you're not fighting with the person you're with, where they're not trying to change you, where they're not trying. Yeah. So basically, I did not think that a cohesive partnership, living together with people, was possible.
Okay.
So homeboy and I are on the walk. He probably like, who is this chick? Because I was like, yeah, I would never date another African.
Thanks.
I was like,
you said.
That's what I said.
Right.
But this was in 2019 now. I'd never date another African. I don't want to get married. If I do, I want a partnership where me and the person are exclusive and committed to each other, but they got their own house. I got my
right.
I was like, nope.
Basic
can't have kids. Don't want any more kids. At the time, I could have kids, but didn't want any more children. And this guy was like a few years, 6 years younger than me. Because that's another thing. I meet a lot of younger guys. So he was like 6 years younger than me, African, had no children, like
everything that you said you weren't going to do, he was. Yeah.
And so I was like, So I guess he already, in his mind, without communication to me, I was the only one really communicating clearly my thoughts.
Right,
But,
right.
you know, clearly he was placing me in a box or in a category of where I fit for his life, which is what people do.
Right. Fair enough.
So nothing kicked off or whatever. Pandemic happens. You know, my only social media currently will change soon. WhatsApp.
She don't got social media.
So, you know, that's where I do my little postings. And so I would see his postings. I saw that he was in a relationship, had a child. And, you know, as years passed, now, the end of 2023, was it? November 2023. He reached out and was like, hey, can we go on blah, blah, blah? And so I did. What he doesn't know is that I knew it. He never communicated it. But I know he had just left a relationship. What's the possibility of anything really working out? But
so did he give off wounded warrior vibes?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Good.
Wasn't emotionally available. Okay. But again, there was some familiarity. I think the nostalgia of him being the first man to approach me after that prayer. And he approached me like 3 years after that prayer. 2 or so years or whatever after. It was quite a time.
Okay.
Which is, for me, I used to always get approached, you know? So the fact that literally I felt invisible for a period of time was like crazy. But anyways, when he reached out the second time, I was in a space where that situation of the person who was almost castrated.
Yeah.
And I did. I broke my celibacy with that person or whatever, but it didn't last. And then, so now I'm literally a year to the date of when this guy and I go out. The African guy. And I just did not want to go back on the shelf again for that long. And so I entertained something that I knew really kind of was like etchy and sketchy. And I think too, I was possibly still working out some of my kinks on what I really wanted. I do feel like there was a lot of letdown.
So you were operating from a wounded warrior perspective.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we are all out here wounded.
Yeah.
We're all out here afraid.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're all out here, use the word, not willing to take risks.
Yeah.
So I understand it or whatever. Needless to say, that situation didn't work out because it was a lot of breadcrumbing on his part, because I think as time went on, because it was like on and off type thing, I basically was like, I realized me as well, I cannot have casual sex. I'm not a casual sex.
I'm a casual sex person.
Like, I am a person who I need commitment, exclusivity in a relationship, and I need that communication. And I'm also very emotionally supportive of anyone I come in contact with, be it friends, family, an intimate partner. Therefore, it's a must that we're aligned in that.
Yeah, it's a must.
It's a must.
That we're aligned.
And also too, that words align with action.
Yeah. 1000%.
So so it became very complicated, but not complicated to the point where it taught me, again, it solidified me in being more grounded in who I am, knowing that a person could be a good person, you know, you can have great chemistry with a person, but emotional alignment and true alignment, I would say, you know, because there's also things where you're worried about how people's lifestyles will mesh and whether or not.
But you should at this age. You should.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. But I do feel like certain things could be worked through, right? But there needs to be, and I'm not talking about lifestyle and like, I like Ocean Prime.
Right.
And you go to Uno's. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about lifestyle and like cultural things.
Right.
Family things and family dynamics and things like that. There needs to be alignment in that, but I do put more so an alignment of emotional attunement. That is more so, it trumps everything else, because I feel if you are emotionally aligned and in tune, you can communicate and navigate, because not everyone's going to have the same cultural background, the same family dynamics, same friendship dynamics. You know, you do want those things to be like, okay, I love to travel. I love to dance. I want to go out on dances every now and then. I want to be taken out. I am a Cancer, which technically sometimes is really a homebody. I do like my home time and personal time, but I also do like to go out in the world and experience the world and whatever.
And if you don't go out on a date with a man that you're interested in, how do you know how this person responds out in social settings? Like,
Thank you.
You gotta court the chick. Like, it's not, you know, it's so basic.
Yeah.
So basic.
And, but even going back to a lot of what we said earlier, they don't want really relationships. They maybe want like men.
Pen pals, I think.
Yeah.
Pen pals is a good way.
Or again, someone who's the object of their emotional, like, to help them with the, check in
when I'm having a bad day.
Right.
Let me call Lolly.
Right.
And then you get the doody-doo.
Right.
Right.
But then, if Lolly has a bad day,
I can't get him on the phone. So we're at our final word, which is complicated, because this definitely leads us into the complications of it.
Well, girl, this whole conversation has been complicated.
Yeah, because without the reciprocity, right? Without the reciprocity, you're not going to have the upward mobility and growth in the personal relationship. Get that. But why is it complicated in New England when we start talking about both male relationships and female relationships? And I'm going to give you my short 3 1/4 year synopsis. And that is, I've met women who hang out with women and they've all shared the same theme.
Oh, no.
They have literally, over a period of time, it could have been maybe I used to sleep with him a year ago. Or, I used to kick it with him 4 months ago, but I'm not with him no more. Or you catch the other person with him and then y'all still cool, but fuck him. Like, nah. Like, I don't come from that. I come from, I used to talk to him. I used to talk to him too. Alright, well, listen. I know about you. I don't want no parts of it. Yeah. Then we see him again. You holler at him, but he's still trying to holler at me. We cool. I don't do any of that. I'm the female that tells you, listen, this is the situation. I'm not interested. And no, I'm not gonna hang out with you to talk about him. Like, I don't do that. And then I met guys here who, they literally try to talk to girls in the same clique. Knowingly. I've seen that. Which makes the situation not only complicated, but messy. Yeah. I'm too messy. I'm grown.
Yeah, well, New England, specifically Boston, that whole, again, that black circle is small. It's small.
But that's not an excuse.
It's not an excuse.
Because it's small, it makes the situation more complicated, because without the outside resource to say, that doesn't seem right, and let me tell you why. And you not having enough of an outside voice, because all of your voices know each other, that's acceptable. To me, that's ridiculous. When we say complicated, when it comes down to, I'm a wounded warrior. One of the reasons why I have not had sex in 7 years it's not that I haven't met guys, right? Again, I need a commitment. I need relationship. I need stability. That is my background. That is my core. I'm comfortable with that. I want to. but I also am afraid of letting my guard down, and then you do me dirty, and then here I go again.
So you ain't taking risks, Wally? Because that's taking a risk.
It's a great point. I haven't met a man yet that I wanted to take a risk with like that. Not even just, let me just, because, 7 years get old. We talking about this getting old. And I've been on a hunt. I'm not even going to lie. Okay. Like, I've been like intentionally dating to get some. I'm not going to lie. And I want it to be a serious relationship, but I haven't met a man enough to make me feel comfortable enough to take that risk with him.
Been there. Yeah, I've been there.
Met so many men in my age group, right? And so we're talking, I'm dating between that 45 to that 58 age group, honestly.
Yeah.
A lot of them are room renters. Another word we'll use at another time. But a lot of them don't have their own place. I believe in reciprocity. I need to be able to spend a night at your house because you can spend a night at mine. The basic shit. But it's also a lot of men, black men in New England, don't take care of their health. They don't want to go to the doctor. So I can't give mine. And you don't even, and I ask you and you ain't got, I can't do it. Because that means that's reckless behavior. So it goes outside of everything else that is a major concern. But I am a wounded warrior. I am afraid because I do love deeply. And I want to love someone who, it's not so much anymore the matching the love energy, because people love differently at different times. But the respect is there. When you have a man that's respectful and he cares for you and he loves you, you may love differently, but it's on the same plane, right?
And there's just physical, tangible evidence.
Yeah, it's physical, tangible evidence
of someone loving and caring for you.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
And it does come through. You may be down, kind of disappointment that came from, I was really down. It was the anniversary of someone that I really lost, and a person, that the African that I eventually ended up, messing around with, and I shared it, and it wasn't a natural thought to come and comfort me. Again, that's just tangible. Like, if you care for someone, something is going on. And again, so I completely get what you mean. You are ready to risk it as far as being emotionally vulnerable, physically vulnerable, just environmentally vulnerable.
That part.
But then the person's guarded or is just really trying to take,
I think they make it more complicated than it is because they don't want to be transparent.
Yeah.
Like, okay, if you meet me and I'm telling you, because I tell men I meet up front, I've been celibate for 7 years. I don't want you, if your goal is to date Lolly as a challenge, you're wasting your time because I'm going to see right through that. I'm looking for someone where there's a progression and we get there, right? And I'm okay with that. But I believe that men in New England make this complicated because they're so used to getting, they're not transparent. They're so used to getting it so quickly. Yeah. Literally, most of these men aren't even taking women out. And we've heard this on a national scale, but again, we're talking about our microcosm within New England. And I'm talking about, I met men in New Hampshire, Connecticut, Vermont, Maine, Mass. I'm just saying. So New England, a lot of these men, especially if they're not dating women of color, have had it pretty easy. So they don't have to put in a lot of work. They make it complicated. If you tell me, listen, I hear what you're saying, Mom, but I don't really see. I think I had one guy tell me, he was a Sagittarius too. He was like, listen, I like cheap women. I like women. I ain't got to take them nowhere. I mean, that's my thing. And I'm like, okay, well, get up, and I'm out. Right. But they don't. When I meet, they try to act like they want to wine and dine me, but they can't keep that up. Yeah. Then when I have a serious conversation with them about, okay, so when's the last relationship you in? You want to dodge the situation. That makes it complicated. You don't have to do that in our age group because we can only keep up this facade for about 3 weeks. Yeah. And then the real us always comes out. It's just, it's part of that dynamic on both sides.
On what I want, what I'll let slide for a while or whatever, and then on your side where you can't keep it up. Yeah, no.
And I don't have time for that. I'm not willing to do that. When it comes down to work and business, it's complicated because you get the microaggressions at the job. Like you told me about your friend of yours. They doing microaggressions out here hardcore for people of color. You go to work, you're like, I'm doing what I gotta do. You calling me an angry black woman over something stupid.
Right.
You making snide remarks that have nothing to do with the end of the day work, right? Or when it comes to even trying to get some level of respect for the work that you bring to the table. Now, again, I've only had one job in New England, but I've done a lot of business with companies in New England. I've done presentations with many of these tech companies in New England in which I'm presenting. I did the work. I did the PowerPoint. I put the sales engineer team together. I've done all of that. And you acting like you talking to me to talk to the person behind me.
Yeah.
Right? It's that makes it complicated because it makes it complicated for you to say, well, I'm here to be accepted. I'm here to not assimilate because I'm not doing assimilation with you.
Well, I think that's what the black culture is in New England.
It is. And we talked about this.
Assimilation.
It's assimilation. So it's kind of like, it makes my life complicated because I am going to stand out when I walk into that room. I am going to stand out when I speak my truth. I am going to stand out when I speak up. I am going to stand out. I am going to stand out. I am going to stand out. And I don't know if I've gotten to a point where I don't care anymore and fuck you, or if I'm more like, well, there has to be a better way. I don't know if I'm complicated in that way.
Saying.
You know what I mean?
Well, and I think this is a good place to kind of end the conversation because it is complicated. All of these things that we're talking about are just complex and dynamic and multifaceted. And so hopefully you all enjoyed this conversation. Maybe we're hoping that it elevated your thought in some way because that's always our goal. And we would love your feedback and your support. Please subscribe, download, and support this conversation. And we're welcoming to hear feedback so that we can incorporate it in our upcoming conversation.
And again, you could find us on our YouTube channel, Society in Motion. You can also listen to this podcast, the audio version, on, what's the platform?
Amazon.
We're on Amazon, right? We're on, several platforms, you're right. But you can listen to Google Play, Apple Play, Buzzsprout, and a number of other platforms. So until next discussion.
Yes, and then you can find us on YouTube.
On Society in Motion, and of course we are
single, black,
female, New England.
Take care. Bye.